session of this faculty development program, and I think you all are interested in the manufacturing process. That's why you are joining this FDP. And so we have to enhance the knowledge about the manufacturing from the perspective of the control, which is known as the computer numerical control. So I am taking up the various basic concepts which are essential to learn the computer numerical controlled manufacturing. So in my opinion, you are going to get some of you have already studied these aspects, and some of you have not studied these aspects in detail. So those who have already studied, they can get the some revision of the concepts, whereas those who have not studied these concepts earlier, so these concepts will be some knowledge enhancing to them. So with this, I am going to start this session. So this is about the manufacturing. So first, I will give the some brief description of manufacturing. So this word manufacture is made of two words. One word is manus. It means the hand, whereas second word is known as the factors, means to make. So the manufacturing means etymologically made by the hand. So whatever we are going to make uh, using the manual method, it is known as manufacturing. So this was the earlier concept that when there was the manual work is carried out to make some product. Okay, but from that era when the peoples are making the various products by using their hand, those are known as the manual labor, working manual labor manufacturing process. And after passage of the time, due to the requirement of some point of the time, the working is shifting from the manual to the mechanized means. Today, a lot of machines are mechanized in nature. So there is some degree of mechanization. Mechanization means we are going to impart certain set of the skill from the human to the machine, and we are going to make the product using the modern machines. Okay, so manufacturing has two aspects. One is the technology, second is the economics. So technologically, what we do in the manufacturing process. So basically, manufacturing process is a transformation process of certain inputs, and those inputs are the man, machine, material, uh, money, and the information. So these five are known as the factor of production. When these five factor of production interact together and with the manufacturing process and getting transformed into some output, and those outputs are some desirable outputs are known as the desired product, and there are some byproducts from the manufacturing process. So they may be some useful in some other way, or they may be the waste of the process. So we are getting the two types of the product, the desired and undesired product. So this is the technologically what manufacturing is doing. Then there is another aspect that is known as the economic aspect of the manufacturing process. So that aspect means The manufacturing is a transformation process of input values, and to transform those input values into the output values. So input value means whatever are the five factor of production, they have some monetary value. That monetary value is going to be transferred into some output value. So output value is greater than the input value. Okay, it means that manufacturing process not only transforming the value but also adding the value to the input value. So manufacturing process are the, in this perspective, the value addition process. Now, manufacturing process can be classified in broadly into two categories. One category is known as the primary operations, and second type of the operations are known as the assembly operations. So, the basic aim of the primary processing operations is to change the geometry of the material, or change the property of the material, or change the appearance of the input material. Okay. Now, there are many products which does not have a single component. Those are made from more than one component. So we need to join a different component to make the product. So those operations are known as the assembly operations. So under the processing operations, one class of the operations is known as the primary operations. And those primary operations are the meant for the making the initial geometry of the product. So among those, we have the casting, we have the forging, we have the powder metallurgy process. And there is another class of the process that is known as the secondary process. So the aim of the secondary process is to provide the dimensional accuracy obtained, and dimensional accuracy and the surface finish, a better surface finish to the those products which are undergone through the primary process. Okay. So among those process, we are having the process, those are known as the material removal process. So we have the three type of the material removal process. So material removal process are those process where the material is removed from the surface of the raw material in order to either the shape or the get the dimensional accuracy or the surface better surface finish. So those processes are known as the machining process. So in the machining process are divided into two categories. One is the bulk material removal process, and second is known as the tiny material removal process. In the bulk material removal process, we are having a certain process done on the lathe machine, on the shaper machine, milling machine, and lathe machine, and so on, where a major amount of the material is removed from the surface of the raw material. So second type of the process where the a small amount of material is removed. So here purpose of material is process is to remove very small amount of the material from the surface of material in order to get dimensional accuracy as well as or surface finish. So those are known as the grinding operation or the lapping operation, polishing operation, and so on. So there is a third class of the category of the material removal process. Those are known as the non-traditional process. Here we don't use the machining. In the machining, there are some mechanical means are used to remove the material. Whereas in the non-traditional process, we are using certain other mechanism to remove the material from the surface of the raw material. in order to get the final geometry of the product. For example, the material removal process we have shown here in the slide. There are three processes. One process is known as the on the machine tool is known as the turning. Another machine tool is known as the drilling machine, on which we are going to make the some hole or enlarge some hole. And third, in the seed diagram, we are having a process that is known as carried out on the milling machine. Okay, so these are the three examples. Now we can classify the machined part into two categories. One part is known as the rotational, and other part is known as the prismatic. So slide on the figure A shows the what is the rotational type of component. So cylindrical component in nature or conical components are known as the rotational component. So they have one axis, and around that there is some material. Similarly, the prismatic component are shown in the part B. So we have a cuboid type of the component which are known as the prismatic component. Now, the first important thing is that whatever you want to do, the material should be placed in a workspace, in a specific position. In the right side, I am taking a common example from the kitchen, household kitchen. So there is some vegetable shown, and this is hold by someone, and so this vegetable is in the space, and this concept is shown in the figure in the left side. A material is in the space, and it can move in the space. So the material in the space can be moved by the forces in the x direction plus or minus, or y direction plus minus, and z direction plus minus. So these are the six translatory direction in which the material can be moved by applying the force. Besides these six translatory force, the workpiece can be rotated about the x, y, z axis in the clockwise direction and the anti-clockwise direction. So there are six translatory motion possible, and there are six rotary motion possible. So in all, there are 12 motion possible in a space or a work material. Now, if you want to process some material, then there should be some specific position of the material in the space, and the all the 12 degree of freedom should be curtailed. Only then we can process a material. For example, the person is holding the this vegetable. It cannot move in any direction unless the person holding it want to move it. Okay, so this is one important principle of machining process or the manufacturing process. Now we further describe the other principle. So first figure on the topmost left side has shown the three elements. There are some vegetables and one human operator and a knife. The job is to cut the vegetables. Okay. So for that purpose, there is a human operator. What he is doing, he is holding and supporting the knife. And in the third figure, he is holding and supporting a knife, and as well as he is holding and supporting the knife to cut the vegetable. So we have the two elements. The one is the human operator, which is going to hold and support the knife as well as the vegetable. Now, this figure shows how we are going to do. a vegetable cutting operation. So a person hold the vegetable and support it, and the same person is going to hold and support the knife, and it is going to bring it to the into the contact of the vegetable, as shown in the leftmost figure. After it, it is going to press the knife into the vegetable. It is shown in the second figure in the topmost layer. It further insert it into the material, and so it press further down, and this is going to result into cutting of a slice of the material. So this motion where a person bring a knife into the contact of the vegetable, it is known as the idle motion, because there is no cutting is going to take place into this motion. Then second motion is to after making the contact of the knife with the material, it is going to further penetrated into the inside the material. So here the knife is going to cut the material. So this is known as the primary motion. That is the motion which is responsible for the cutting or the removal of the material from the surface of the raw material. Okay, so there are the two, one thing is hold and support the material and the knife. Second is the idle motion to provide to the idle motion relative between the vegetable and the knife. Third important thing is that the primary motion to be provided to the uh, knife. So here, beside the motion, there is some provision to be spent is the energy, and so by applying the force and movement of the knife. So after getting one slice cut from the raw material, there is nothing more to cut the material. So what we have to do if we want further cutting action, then we have to move the knife perpendicular to the uh, cutting plane, okay, and make the contact with the raw material, okay. So the purpose here is to fed uncut part of the raw material into the cutting tool. This motion is known as the secondary motion. So, with the primary motion and secondary motion, we are going to cut the vegetable. So we have some basic elements, okay, in the machining process. So earlier, the vegetable cutting operation was the example of the manual process, which was earlier used. So, so vegetable cutting is skill, and that is the properties of the human operator. Okay, but after passage of the time, some machines are developed, so that some skill set of the human operator is transmitted to the machine, and machine are doing some part of the work instead of manual work. Okay, so those machine which are used for the machining process are known as the machine tool. So here, uh, machine tool is going to replace the human operator, but not completely. Some part still is doing by the human operator. Okay, so there are some various elements. So first element is the work holding device. So the element which holds the workpiece on the machine tool is known as the work holding device. Second element is the tool holding device. Similar to the knife, the machine tool uses a tool. to remove the material from the surface, and those tools are known as the cutting tool. So we need to hold and support the cutting tool also. So those devices which hold the cutting tool are known as the tool holding devices. So now we have the work holding and the tool holding devices. Now we have to provide a correct relative motion between the tool and workpiece in order to remove the material. So we need some mechanism to provide the motion to workpiece and the tool. So those are known as the work tool motion mechanism and the cutting tool motion mechanism. And all the devices need some additional supports. So those are known as the support structure to support these functions. So this is some basic elements of the machine tool. For example, on the right side, we have a cylindrical raw material. We have to get this material of the geometry shown in the left side. So to get this geometry, we have to remove the excessive material from the surface of the material by a tool that is known as the cutting tool. And this is done on a machine tool that is known as the lathe machine. So this diagram shows the lathe machine. So this lathe machine has various parts. One part is known as the headstock, and this has a spindle. And another part is known as the carriage, and carriage has the tool post. So and third part is known as the tail stroke, and the we are going to hold the this spindle has some other work holding device that is known as the chuck, which is used to hold the workpiece, cylindrical workpiece, or the workpiece of the irregular shape. And so this spindle has the facility to rotate. So by this we are providing a rotary motion to the workpiece. Whereas the tool carriage has a tool post, here we are going to hold the tool, cutting tool, and this way we are going to have the arrangement of the machine tool, cutting tool, and the workpiece, and these have to work together in order to get the desired product. So in the figure D, I had shown here, there a workpiece of cylindrical nature is clamped into the work holding device chuck, and the cutting tool is in contact with the workpiece. And from the surface of workpiece, there is a tiny part of the material coming out of the machining zone. It is known as the chip. We are rotating the chuck. After by rotation of the chuck, we are rotating the workpiece. Whereas a tool has the translatory motion or the linear motion. So we have these relative motion, and with this we are going to remove the material from the surface, and this is known as the turning operation. So next important thing is how to produce the surfaces. So we have shown a figure in the right side, topmost. So there is two important element here. One is known as the generatrix. So generatrix is the curve made by the primary motion. Okay. So in case of turning operation, the point of the cutting tool, the point of contact of the cutting tool is in contact with a rotating workpiece, and it traverses a path. Okay, that path is known as the is a circle, and that circle is known as the generatrix. So in the turning operation, the and this motion is known as the primary motion. So here there is a active machining is going. So generatrix is responsible for the cutting action. It is also known as the primary motion. Then there is another element that is known as directrix. So basically, cutting tool is moving in a linear direction in order to fed uncut part of the material in the machining zone. So this motion is the secondary motion, and it is also known as the feed motion. Okay. So the path traversed by point of contact of the cutting tool by this motion is known as the directrix. So we have the two elements. One is generatrix corresponding to primary motion, and we have the another element that is known as the directrix corresponding to the secondary motion. So we have a correct relative positioning of these two directrix and genetics in order to generate the surface. Okay. For example, in this figure A, the directrix is perpendicular to the plane of generatrix. In that case, we are getting a cylindrical surface produced by the genetics and directrix. Okay. And second, so this is shown here. The workpiece is rotating along axis. So this is known as the primary motion, and the genetics is the circle. Whereas cutting tool is moving the linear motion. It is the secondary motion, and it is known as the locus of this point is known as the directrix. It is perpendicular to the primary genetics. So here we have shown a number of operations which are performed on the lathe machine. So we have the straight turning motion, we have the taper turning motion, we have the profiling operation, we have the facing operation, we have the threading operation. So in the turning straight turning, the cutting tool move parallel to the longitudinal axis of the job. So here the circle is the genetics, and directrix is the straight line. In the taper turning, the cutting tool move having some slope with the longitudinal axis. Okay. So here the directrix makes some angle from the plane of the genetics, and we are getting a conical surface generated rather than a cylindrical surface. And in the facing operation, the figure is E figure. The here the genetics is not perpendicular to the plane of the directrix is not perpendicular to the genetics, rather than the genetics is parallel to the plane of the, as shown in the figure B, parallel to the plane of the genetics. So what we are getting, we are getting a surface that is plane in nature and perpendicular to the longitudinal axis of the job. Okay. So the didactic is same, genetics is same, but we are getting the three different type of the surface. And in figure K, we are having the threading operation. Here in figure A, in the straight turning, the genetics is the circle in nature, whereas directrix is the linear in nature. And in both these cases, the directrix is perpendicular to the plane of the genetics. But in figure A, we are getting the cylindrical surface produced, whereas in the case of figure K, we are getting a threaded surface produced from the manufacturing process. So this is due to that the speed of the directrix. So speed of directrix is different than the turning operation. In this case of the threading operation, speed is much slower. So we are getting a threaded surface produced. So this is for the cylindrical components. Here the part may be of the prismatic shape, and we are going to make the flat surface. Okay, so this is shown in the figure 4.1 A, B, and the C on the topmost left corner of the figure. Here the genetics and directrix both are straight line. Okay, and genetics directrix is perpendicular to genetics, and we are getting a plane surface made. Okay, so so this is the surface. On the right side, a plane surface to be made from the plane prismatic workpiece. So this is, work is done by this type of machine, the milling. So this is shown here. The cutting tool is rotating about its axis and having a circular genetics, where workpiece is moving linearly, having a the directrix as a linear one. In this case, directrix has is in the plane of the genetics, and we are getting a plane surface. So this is shown here in more elaborated view. The genetics is the circle one, and directrix is the linear one, and this directrix is the tangential in the plane of the workpiece of the genetics, and we are getting a prismatic surface to be produced. So this is shown in this figure. There is a tangential directrix. So sometimes we need to make the hole, or we have to drill the hole. We have to analyze the previously drilled holes. Okay. For that purpose, we are going to use a machine that is known as the drilling machine, and the cutting tool is known as the drill. So here the genetics is circular one, and directrix is also a linear one, and it is perpendicular to the plane of the genetics, and that's this way we are going to get a cylindrical surface produced, internal cylindrical surface. In the turning, we are getting the external surface formed. Here we are getting a cylindrical surface, internal, formed with a threaded internal cylindrical surface. So we have a cutting tool. It is moving inside the workpiece. It is rotating as well as moving inside the workpiece and making a hole. Another machine is known as the shaper machine. So it is also used for the prismatic components, and in comparison to milling, this is going to use the making some smaller features on the job, whereas milling has to remove the material in bulk form. So this is example of shaper machine and the planer machine to remove the material. Now, I had already told you that we have to have the specific position of the work material in the space, so that we can process it to get the desired object. So we can use the some principle, and this principle is known as the 3-2-1 principle. According to this principle, in a plane we are going to use the 3 locating pins as shown in the diagram in one plane. In another plane which is perpendicular to first plane, we are going to use the 2 pin, and in this diagram shows the 3 pin in one plane, 2 pins perpendicular to the first plane, and 1 pin in a third plane which is perpendicular to two other plane. So we are having the 3 mutually perpendicular planes. In one plane we are having 3 pin, on another plane we are having the 2 pin, and another third plane we have the 1 pin. So there are 6 pins, and these 6 pin can curtail 9 degree of freedom of the workpiece. Still there are 3 degree of freedom. These should be curtailed, so that there should be no degree of freedom to the work material. To achieve this, we are going to use some clamping devices, and by use of the clamping devices, all 12 degree of freedom is going to be reduced to 0 degree of freedom. Okay, so this is how we are going to perform the conventional machining. So there are certain uh, action we are going to be performed by the human operator. Okay, one is the loading and unloading of the material, start and stop of the machine spindle, tool selection, tool holding, and unloading, start and stop the cutting fluid, provide speed, depth of cut to the machine, start and end position coordinates of a motion, idle motion path, cutting and feed motion path, and the control of the motion. So these activities are performed by the human operator on the machine tools. So in this figure, we have shown some data. So in a factory shop floor, a work spend some time. So that time is known as the 100% time of the workpiece spent in the shop floor. So out of 100%, 95% time is spent in moving and waiting of the raw material. Only 5% of the time is spent on the machine. So out of these 5 times, there is further distribution of the time. 70% of the time of out of this 5% time is taken by the certain activity like positioning, loading, gauging, measurement, etc. Only 30% time is used to remove the material from the surface of the workpiece. So this shows that there is a lot of time wasted in the conventional machining. Very small amount of the a fraction of the time is actually used in the actual machining or the removal of the material from the workpiece. So productivity of the conventional manufacturing is very low. So there is need to improve the productivity. So certain ways are again developed so that this productivity can be improved. So one way was there one was in the field of the work holding and supporting. So jig and fixtures are developed in order to reduce the waste time. Further efforts are done to reduce the time in other human activities. So here comes the one development that is known as the numerical controlled machine tool. So there was one person that is known as the J.C. Parson. of Parson Corporation in the Michigan. He want to improve the productivity of his machine tool, and so he want to do some certain development. So U.S. Air Force gave a study to MIT to develop the numerically controlled machines in 1949. So the Air Force gave around 2 lakh dollar to the MIT, and MIT gave the contract to the Parson. So MIT, with the help of the Parson, developed the first NC prototype in 1951, and first machine was developed in the 1952. Okay, then Air Force gave a contract of 35 million for manufacturing of the 100 numerically controlled machines. So next important thing is, what is the numerical control? So operator has to provide a lot of instruction in the conventional manufacturing or the machine tool. So some part of that skill, the human skill, we are going to impart to the machine tool. Okay, whatever instruction he is going to give to the conventional lathe machine, say the load, unload the machine workpiece, or start the spindle, uh, select the speed of the spindle, uh, give the feed machine to the cutting tool, and so on. Uh, on off to the coolant, and so on. These are the instructions are provided by the human operator. So these instruction sets is going to be provided by the machine tool itself. So we have to impart this skill to the machine tool, so that machine tool automatically do these operations. So for that purpose, the instructions are going to be coded into certain language by use of certain characters. Okay. For example, the English, if you want to express something, and that expression is going to be communicate to someone, so you may use the English language. English language has certain character in the form of alphabets. So you will write in alphabet A B C up to Z, and on a medium, and then communicate. Similarly, see, all the instruction which controls by the human operators are going to be written into some language, and that language has some characters. Okay, so that is known as the numerical control. Numerical control refer to the give the instruction in a coded language uh, by using the alphanumeric character. Alpha means alphabets A to Z, and numeric means numerals 0 to 9. So we are so these are the characters in this NC control language, the alphabet as well as the numerals. So we are going to write the our instruction in these alphanumeric characters, and we are going to code this program on some medium, and that medium is going to be give instruction to certain other element, and that element is going to read the instruction, convert this instruction to some other form, so that machine can understand it and can execute the instruction. That is known as the numerical control. So numerical control is to give the instruction in a program having a alphanumeric characters. So this shows the basic components of a numerical control system. We have a program. In a the program is a set of instructions coded in the alphanumeric characters. And on the right side, extreme right, we have a processing equipment or the machine tool. In between, we have a machine control unit. So program is read by the machine control unit, and after reading the program, the machine control unit is going to convert the instruction into certain electric signals, and these signals are going to fed to the operative elements of the machine tool, and machine tool accordingly execute the instructions. So in details, this slide shows the different components of the ANSI system. So the program is written on a medium, maybe the punch tape or punch card or magnetic tape and so on. And this program is run in front of a tape reader, and tape reader is going to read the instructions. And instructions on the medium is in the form of holes. So there is instruction are coded uh, in terms of the holes. There may be some hole or there may not be hole. So tape reader is going to identify whether there is a hole in the line of the reader of the medium or not. Presence or absence of the hole, this is diagnosed by the reader, and accordingly it is going to convert presence and absence to a electric signal, and this electric signal is going to be amplified, and it is again going to fed to the operative element of the NC machine, and operative element is going to the execute the electrical signal automatically. So there are the development of the technology, controller technology of the numerical control. First, in the 1952, vacuum tube, then relays, then semiconductors, then integrated circuit, and then DNC, and then CNC are introduced using the NC control technology. So there are various type of the NC control technology. First is the NC numerical control machines, as I had earlier told you. So second is the DNC, direct numerical controlled machines. So earlier NC machine tools are very big in nature. Okay, so each have the machine control unit and their tape reader and so on. So there was a problem that if on a shop floor there are a number of machines to be work together, then each machine has its machine control unit and the program instruction reader and interpreter. So if we want to change the part to be produced on a machine tool, we have to stop the machine, and then we have to change the program medium, and then restart the machine, and then we have to produce the part. So there is the downtown, or the so that the productivity is low. So then come the advancement that there will be a number of numerically controlled machine tool on the shop floor. Those machines are going to be integrated or the joined by a central host computer, and that host computer has the program medium reader and converter. So we can change the program there, read there, and generate the and download to the different individual machines and execute the machining. So this development is known as the direct numerical controlled machines. Further advancement in this technology is known as the distributed numerical control. With the passage of the time, the cost of computers are reduced. So we can afford one computer on each machine. So now we have a host computer, and that computer is connected with the individual computer of a machine tool on the shop floor, and that individual computer is controlled with the individual machine control unit of the machine tools. So here we have a better facility that we can make the program offline and store in the host computer, and we can download that program in the particular specific machine when still it is producing some other component. Okay, so there is no need to stop the machine in order to change the program, to change the product. So also we can collect various data from the shop floor in order to show to the management. So this development advancement was known as the distributed numerical control. With the passage of time, there was again a reduction in the uh, prices of the computer. Now we can have a dedicated computer installed with each machine, having the all the functionality which is going to be performed by the DNC host computer. So that development is known as the CNC computerized numerically controlled machines. So this is a slide shows what is the direct numerical control. We have a host computer, and it is connected with the individual machine control units of the machine tool. This is a distributed numerical control example. We have a central host computer, and it is joined with the individual computers of the individual machine on the shop floor. This diagram shows the CNC machine. So machine tool has the individual machine computer, and this individual computer is can have the tape reader as well as in order to machine the in order to read the instruction, or it can have program downloaded from the host computer. So this is one example of the CNC machine tool. It is the CNC lathe machine. So we have the CNC control panel on the CNC machine tool. Now this is again a example of the CNC milling machine. We have the computer with the CNC machine tool. Now these are the various elements of the CNC machine tool. One is the input device, another is the machine control units, then machine tool, then driving system, then feedback devices, and the display unit. So this is the display device as shown in the figure. Then we have the machine control unit, and we have the input device. The input device here is the keyboard. Then we have the drive systems and the feedback devices, and display unit is a monitor here in the diagram. So driving system is here is the servo motors. The motors are going to move the various operative elements of the machine tool. So here CNC machine system is shown. So one is the first is the part program to be for the product. Then this program is written on a medium. Then it is read by a machine control unit. It is 0.4, and then machine control unit translate the instruction into the signals, electric signals, and these are going to the machine tool, and these are going to be executed by the executive elements. So this shows in the clear terms the block diagram of CNC machine. We have the input devices, display units, then machine control units. Machine control unit has two parts: data processing unit and control loop unit. Data processing unit is the going to process the data and give instruction to the machine tool, where control loop unit is going to execute the control operations on the machine tool. And we have the driving system. Driving system is those elements which are going to impart various motion to the operative element, such as the machine table, linear motion, or the circular motion, and so on. Then the machine tool has some devices, those are known as the feedback devices. So actually, the machine is going to provide the instruction to execute. The operative elements are executing the instruction, but we don't know whether they are doing it correctly or not. So we are having sensing element which are observing the execution of the operative elements, and these are red, and it in terms of the position of the operative element and velocity of the operative element. These are fed back, and these are compared by the comparators in order to get the right execution of the instructions. So the this diagram shows the driving unit, machine drive system. So in the topmost we have a table, machine table, and this machine table is connected to a lead screw, and lead screw is connected to a uh, stepper motor. So stepper motor gets the electric signal. By this electric signal, stepper motor is going to be rotated. Since the lead screw is connected by the stepper motor, this lead screw is going to rotate with the stepper motor, and this lead screw has some nut around it, and that nut is connected to the table. So the lead screw is rotating in space in its position, and since this cannot move, but the nut connected with this lead screw can move along the longitudinal axis of the lead screw. So nut is moved along the longitudinal axis of longitudinal axis of the lead screw. By this motion, uh, since the table is connected with the lead nut, so nut is moving linearly in the translatory direction. So with nut, this machine table is also performing the linear motion. It is moving along the longitudinal axis, or the parallel to the longitudinal axis of the lead screw. And this whole thing motion is provided by the instruction for this is provided by the program that is read by the machine control unit. Machine control unit is generating the electric signal, and those signals are going to the operative element stepper motor, and that electrical signal is going to converted into the mechanical motion of the um, element of stepper motor. Consequently, the mechanical motion of the machine tool table. Now, we can classify the CNC machines into certain categories on the basis of certain criteria. So one criteria is the motion type. Another criteria is type of the control loop. And then third criteria is number of axis. And fourth criteria is type of the power supply provided to the machine tool. So first, we are going to classify on the basis of motion type. So one is known as the point-to-point system. It means that the our requirement of the machining is that we have to remove the material at certain location. Okay, so cutting tool has capability to go to some spot on the surface of the workpiece and then remove the material. For example, in the drilling operation, we have to drill the holes or enlarge the previously drilled hole. Okay, so what we do, we go the that location and move the drill cutting tool inside the material at that location and then make the hole. This type of system is known as point-to-point system. Then another is known as the contouring system. Okay, so we have to move the cutting tool during the active machining along some curve, and we have to remove the material along that contour. That type of the system is known as the contouring system. Okay, so the tool has some tool is going to follow some curve and removing the material. So whatever is the curve that is going to be generated on the surface of the work material. That is known as the contouring or the continuous path system. Now, the classification can be on the basis of the type of the movement of the path or the interpolation. So we on the this slide we have the two figure on left side and the on the right side. So we have to negotiate or follow the path is a curve as shown in the figure. But our operative element cannot move into a curve. They can move in a linear, they can have a linear motion. Okay, either parallel to the x-axis or y-axis or some inclined direction of the x-y axis. Okay, so they can move in a straight line. They cannot move in the curve path. So what we have to do, we have to take the small straight path, straight motion, and those straight motions are going to generate the curved path as shown in the diagram. So straight line shows the actual path of the motion of the cutting tool, and this motion is closer to the actual path. Okay, but you can see that there is deviation from the ideal path required to the actual path. Okay, so there are two patterns. The path of the tool is inside the curve or path of the tool is outside the curve. Okay, on left side it is inside and outside it is the outside. Okay, on the basis of this we can classify what type of interpolation is there. Now third aspect is type of the control loops on which we are going to classify the machine tool. So this diagram shows some arrangement of the machine tool. There is a machine tool and there is a CNC machine tool controller. We have shown the operative elements X, Y, and Z. So X is the X stepper motor, Y stepper motor, and Z stepper motor. So X motor moves the machine table into X direction, Y motor moves the machine table into Y direction, and Z motor move the machine to a table. Z is basically this stepper motor is provided to the cutting tool. Okay, so Z motor move the cutting tool. So for these motions, we need the instruction from the CNC machine controller, as shown in the blue line. So these electric signals are coming from the machine control units as per the instruction coded into the program. Okay, so you can see the arrow. So this shows that the instruction is going to be executed by the operative element to the operative element. Okay, so this type of system is known as the open loop system. So this is further shown in this diagram. That diagram we have the spindle, cutting tool, machine table, and nut, lead screw, stepping motor is connected with the machine control unit, and machine control unit is giving the instruction to execute to the stepper motor. Okay, so we are the signal is going to the operative element. So they can execute the motion, or they may not execute it correctly. For example, someone want to go to from Delhi to Bombay. Okay, so it is intended he start from the Delhi and he has to reach the Bombay. But it may be possible that he went to Calcutta or Madras instead of Bombay. So you have given the instruction, but instruction is not correctly executed. Same phenomena can occur here. You have given the instruction that 25 centimeter you have to move in the X direction, but the machine table may move exactly 25 centimeter or 21 centimeter or 19 centimeter. We don't know what is the exact status. So this type of system is known as the open control loop system. This is shown that another system. This system is known as the closed loop control system. Here you are seeing the two lines. One is the blue line, another is the red lines. So blue line shows that the instruction is given by the machine control unit to the operative element. But some signals are coming from the operative elements to the machine control units. That is shown by the red line. So this type of the system is known as the control closed loop system. Here the what is the actual execution status of the operative element is sensed by a sensor, and it is going to be given to the machine control unit. There is another element that is known as the comparator. Comparator is going to compare both signal, the feedback signal as well as the given signal. If there is error, he will generate a fresh signal and so on till there is a zero difference between the both the signal. Zero difference means there is correct execution of the instruction. So this is shown here. There is a feedback element giving the feedback to the machine control unit. Now on this slide you can see both the type of the control. Figure A shows the open loop control, whereas figure B shows the closed loop control. So here there is position sensor and the speed sensor. They are going to sense the what is the speed, what is the position of the work table, and these signals are fed to the comparator in the machine control unit. Comparator compare the signal, the input signal and the output signal. and find the error. An error is going to be given another unit, that is the DAC. So it is a unit which convert the signal, analogous signal, to the DC signal. Since we are using the DC servo motor, uh, these are DC motors rather than AC motor. So we need to, the comparator is giving the analogous signal, analogous electric signal. So we have to convert these analogous signals into digital signal or the discontinuous signal. That is done by the DAC. And these digital signals are going to be fed to the DC servo motors of the machine tables. And this way, the instructions are going to be operated. Now, next is the classification based on the number of axes. Okay, so a machine tool may have the 3 axis or 4 axis or the 5 axis. So higher number of axis, better is the capability of the machine. So this diagram shows if tool path to be followed by the cutting tool, and we can have the various axes. We can have the x-axis plus minus, y, z axis plus minus, 6 translatory axis, and 6 axis plus clockwise, anti-clockwise over the axis x, y, and z axis. So there are total 12 axes possible by which you can control the motion. Okay. So how to designate the various axes? This is done by the this thumb rule. Uh, uh, we take the reference axis as the z axis. Where if z axis is vertically upward direction, it is the plus z axis. Okay, and if it is downward, then we take the it is as the minus z axis. With this, we if z axis is the plus in the upward direction as shown in the figure B, we put our middle finger in the plus z direction, then open the first finger and the uh, thumb perpendicular to each other. So thumb shows the plus x-axis and first finger shows the y-axis and middle finger at the z-axis. Okay, and this shows the axis that the spindle axis is horizontal one. Okay, then in that case we will put the middle finger along the horizontal axis. Okay, and then we define the x and y axis as shown in the diagram. Now there are the 6 rotary motion you can define by this right hand thumb rule. So if this is the vertical spindle axis is taken as the z axis, along this we are going, if z axis is perpendicular to upward direction, we will put the right hand as shown in this diagram, and the direction of rotation is given as plus a b c or minus a b minus c. So this diagram shows the a diagram 3 axis machine x y z direction, whereas b diagram shows the 4 axis machine x y z and the w. And this diagram shows the 5 axis machine, 3 linear axis and 2 are the rotary axis. So spindle can be rotated clockwise or anti-clockwise about the z axis. So now we have the 5 axis. So this figure shows clearly the x axis, y axis, rotary a axis, and rotary B axis. These are the 5 axis machine. Now, next, we can classify the machine tool on the basis of the power supply. So whether we have the power supply, electrical drive units, or we are using the hydraulic unit. Hydraulic unit means we have the piston cylinder assembly and we have the hydraulic fluid between in the cylinder, and that is used to impart the motion to the operative element, or the pneumatic drive. In the pneumatic drive, we use the air in the piston cylinder assembly and using the air pressure to move the piston in the cylinder, and the piston is connected with the some operative element, and that's why we are moving the operative element with the help of. So whether we are using the electrical signal and using the stepper motor, or we are using the hydraulic system, or we are using the pneumatic system to move the various element of the machine tool. On the basis of that, we can classify the machine tools. Now, these are the various hardware part of the CNC machine tool. Now, CNC machine tools are going to be moved, or the we have to provide some instruction in the form of some program, and those programs are written in alphanumeric character. So one important thing is that we use the coordinate system of two type. One is known as the incremental system and absolute programming. So this slide shows the two axis, x-axis and z-axis. So this is the path A, B, C, D, E to be executed. Okay. So the next we have shown the table. So there are two classification: incremental and absolute. So if you we have to provide the position of the origin, that is the 0, 0, the position A. So in comparison to origin in absolute term A, so coordinate of A point is 1, 1. Then coordinate of point B is 30 3, 1. Coordinate of C is 3, 2. Coordinate of D is 5, 2. And coordinate of E is 6, 6. So in this fashion, we are providing the coordinates of various points of the path. It is known as the absolute system. In the incremental system, what we are doing, we are shifting the origin. So we are giving the position relative to the previous one. Okay. So for the point A, we are giving the position relative to origin. So it is 1, 1. Now for point B, we are going to give the position relative to point A. So uh, relative to point A, position of B is in terms of the z-axis 2 unit, whereas the position of B along x-axis is 0 relative to A. Okay. For point C, the relative position with respect to B is 0 and 1. Similarly, for D and E, this way we are going to provide the position of the point A, B, C, D, E. It is known as the incremental system. So CNC programming code the instruction. So what we need: coordinate system, knowledge of the coordinate system, as I have earlier told you. Then units, then what the coordinates x, y, z, r, x, r, y, r, z. These are the rotary coordinate. Then feed rate and spindle speed. Then coolant control, on off, flood or the mist. Then tool control, tool and tool parameters. Then we need the preparatory codes. These are known as the G code. So the objective of these codes is to prepare the machine to execute the instruction. Okay, so we have the G code, and then access code X, Y, Z. Then feed and speed code. For feed we have the word letter F, and speed we have the S, and the tool code, the letter is the T. It's specify what is the number of the tool or tool designation. Okay, and then we have the miscellaneous codes. So there are certain other instruction. For example, we have to start the spindle, stop the spindle. We have to select the speed and feed. We have to load the workpiece, unload the workpiece, and so on. This type of instruction are coded by codes are known as the M code. So these are the key letters which are used: O for program number, N for sequence number, G for preparatory function, X axis, Y, Z, R, F. One instruction is going to be write in this way. First, you are going to write the instruction number. What is the number of the instruction in the program? So we will write by the letter N. Instruction number is 50. Earlier is the 49. After it, it will be the 51. Then we will write the preparatory function in terms of the G code. It is the 0, G0, and G1. For example, G01 is the interpolation, whether we are using the linear interpolation or we are using the um, circular interpolation. G90, whether we are going to use the absolute system or we are using the incremental system. Then we will write the coordinates of path in terms of x and y coordinates as shown in the diagram. X, after it the numerical value, then y, and then numerical value of the coordinate. Then feed rate. At what feed rate we are going to move the operative element f, then the numerical value. Then spindle speed. As for the spindle speed, and 1500 is the numerical value of the speed. Then tool function. So this shows which tool you are going to use for the this instruction. Then miscellaneous function M, whether we are going to start the spindle or stop the spindle, or we have to start the coolant or stop the coolant, and so on. Okay, so there is a long list of the G code and the M code. So with the help of these, we are going to write the program. So in the program, there are a number of instructions coded. Okay. Now I'm talking about the another aspect that is known as the manufacturing. So manufacturing we can classify into two categories: additive and subtractive. Subtractive means we have to remove the material from the surface of the workpiece. Okay. So this machining is known as the subtractive method, subtractive manufacturing. Another type of manufacturing is known as the additive manufacturing. So rather, so the basic principle is again different. So here, instead of removing the material from the surface of the workpiece, we are adding some material to the surface of workpiece so that we can get some product to be manufactured, and those are known as the additive manufacturing process. So for the subtractive manufacturing, I have already discussed. Now I am going to show you one video of the machining center. Machining center. There is some problem to run the video. I am just checking.
Sir, a message is displaying that cannot display during the call.
Pardon?
A message is displaying in the bottom saying that the video cannot be played during the call.
So how can I play now? Last time I had played the video. Last time I have taken the lecture, then the video was.
सर आपने स्क्रीन शेयर कर दिया?
स्क्रीन शेयर है.
बस वीडियो अभी उसको एक बार क्लिक करिएगा दोबारा. जो कौन सा फाइल है सर, अभी कौन सा करना है?
अभी मैं करता हूँ, एक मिनट का. अनेबल टू प्ले आ रहा है.
स्क्रीन शेयरिंग इन प्रोग्रेस बता रहा है यहाँ पे.
यहाँ ये दे रहा अनेबल टू प्ले ड्यूरिंग कॉल.
अनेबल टू प्ले ड्यूरिंग कॉल. अच्छा.
तो लास्ट टाइम भी चले थे वीडियो, इस बार क्यों नहीं चल रहा?
हाँ, लास्ट टाइम बताया था आपने. हाँ, जो मई वाली कोर्स में ना, मई मंथ.
सर कोई कॉल तो ऑन नहीं है इसमें. आप टैब
नहीं
से
लास्ट टाइम टैब पे ही मैंने किया था, तब चले थे. अब इस बार पता नहीं क्यों नहीं चल रहे हैं. चलो एनीवे, विदाउट वीडियो में कंप्लीट करता हूँ. So the 3D, the additive manufacturing principle is shown here. There is substrate on which we are depositing the layer material in the layer by layer. So you have know the welding operation with there. The material is added rather than subtracted. Similarly, here we are adding the material in layers. So what this slide shows the basic principle. So we need to make some object of the product. We make the CAD model of that object in any CAD modeling software such as the Solid, the CATIA, and so on, Pro E, and so on. After making that CAD model, we will import the CAD model into the 3D printing machine, and we put the material in the 3D printing machine. So the CAD model the machine convert the CAD model into a instructions to make that product, and that instructions are a program. The CNC program, as told you before, in the form of the same symbol, G code, M code. Now, this machine is going to automatically convert CAD, prepare the program from the CAD model. Now, this machine going to run the program, and it will going to feed the material to the manufacturing zone, and material is going to be deposited one by one into the layer, and that form the product required. So one example of this is known as the selective laser sintering. So basic principle of this is shown here, that there are three chambers, and in the central chamber there is a laser beam. Okay, whereas in the left and right chamber we have the supply of the powder, maybe the polymer powder or the metallic powder, to supply the powder to the middle chamber. And the third chamber is known as is to remove the material excessive powder. So first we put some a fine layer of the powder in the central chamber. On central chamber, the laser beam move according to the instruction of the CNC program, and these laser beams are going to heat the powder. And due to heating, there is one process that is known as selective laser sintering. There, in that case, there is partial melting. Another process is known as selective laser melting process. So material is completely melted, formed into liquid, and then it fused together. Okay. So this way, one layer is formed. After forming of this layer, fresh layer of the powder is put here over that layer. Again, laser is impacted on the fresh powder. It is going to be melted uh, and converted into again the solid, and another layer is formed. In this way, a number of layers are formed as per the instruction provided from the program. And this way, we are going to get the object formed. So here we are adding the material. In the subject manufacturing, we are removing the material from the surface of the material.
लोकेश सर,
हाँ बोलो
सर अभी टाइम हो गया 5, अभी देखिए 4-5 मिनट में खत्म कर दीजिएगा जो भी है।
अच्छा ठीक है मैं कर रहा हूँ।
क्योंकि 5 और अभी वी स्टार्टेड एट 3:30।
ठीक है जस्ट मैं फिनिश कर रहा हूँ।
थोड़ा सा हाँ वाइंड अप कर दीजिए सर।
वाइंड अप कर रहा हूँ 5 मिनट में कर रहा हूँ। Another important method is known as the direct energy deposition method. Okay, so this shows the various type of the process. You can use the powder or the wire or the strip for as a material in this process. So in a central, we have shown a diagram coaxial powder. So here we are using the powder. It is coming into a nozzle with the carrier gas. In the center of this nozzle, we are providing the laser beam. So laser beam is coming out of the nozzle. So this powder carried by the gas pass through the nozzle, having the laser beam. So laser beam is going to melt the powder, make into the molten metal, and this is molten metal is going to be fall on the surface of substrate on that, and it gets solidified. This way we are adding the material. It is the same as you are doing in the welding process. There also you are melting the filler material and pouring it into the weld zone, and after getting solidified, there is a solid joint. Similarly, we are depositing in that fashion. Okay, this method is known as the direct energy deposition method. Now, what is the hybrid manufacturing? So, a process which use both the principles of the subtractive manufacturing and additive manufacturing in a single machine is known as the hybrid manufacturing. Okay, so we have shown a machine. So, this machine make the product with the use of deposit direct energy deposition method, and also it perform the machining of that object also in the same machine in the same setup. There will be some change of the head from additive manufacturing to subtractive manufacturing. So first it do some additive manufacturing, then it will use the subtractive manufacturing in order to finish the surface, or it will remove the material from the surface. Then it will do the perform the additive manufacturing, then it perform the subtractive manufacturing, and so on. This way it is going to make the product. So this is known as the hybrid manufacturing. So basically, there is no possibility to play the video, but I had told you the various principles of the CNC, which is going to applied in the subtractive machining as well as the additive manufacturing. And nowadays there is a trend to develop the hybrid manufacturing machine tools. And now I am going to finish with this topic.
Okay.
And thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Lokesh ji.
Thank you.
Participants, if you have any queries, you can just write on chat box. मैडम चैट बॉक्स में देखिए कोई क्वेश्चंस तो नहीं.
Sir, they're asking about presentation.
अच्छा, presentations we will be giving on Friday. All experts presentation will be giving on Friday morning session.
Any queries? If you have any queries, then you can write in the chat box.
Any Dr. Umesh Gupta. मैडम डॉक्टर उमेश गुप्ता को अनम्यूट करिएगा.
एक सेकंड.
डॉक्टर उमेश गुप्ता.
Third year.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. No query, sir.
If you have any query, you can ask.
No query, sir. Very nice session. I'm expert in this session only. I'm teaching the.
Achha.
I'm person from production background only.
अच्छा, production. You are from which college?
Sir, I'm professor in West Engineering College, Rohtak.
रोहतक. अच्छा अच्छा, ओके.
हाँ जी. सर परसों एक मुझे प्रॉब्लम है. मैं ऑनलाइन तो रहूंगा, लेकिन इशू क्या है कि कल मुझे बच्चों का प्रैक्टिकल लेना है. परसों यूनिवर्सिटी का लेटर आया है, तो मॉर्निंग सेशन में थोड़ा डिस्टर्ब रह सकता. बाकी नो प्रॉब्लम सर. कल परसों मॉर्निंग को 9:30 to 11 between. I'm online, but practically I'm offline. The session background में चलता रहेगा. Anyway, thank you sir for your cooperation, sir.
Okay. Mr. Shailendra. Dr. Shailendra. मैडम अनम्यूट करिएगा.
Sir, unmute him.
Dr. Shailendra? Okay, he's not there. Okay, let us stop here. Dr. Lokesh ji, thank you so much for your nice, wonderful session on hybrid machining as well as CNC machining. And you explained about the G codes, M codes, and part programming, CNC programming, everything is very nice.